I never thought I'd be the reason my wife's coworkers went silent at a party. It started as an innocent invitation, her company's annual celebration, a night to mingle and show off the family, as she put it. I was nervous. I wasn't part of their world. She was an executive at a top marketing firm. I ran a small local repair business. My hands were calloused, my shirts plain, and my stories weren't about boardrooms or brands. But I went because she wanted me there, or so I thought. The party was loud and glittering, filled with people who looked like they belonged in magazines. When we arrived, she seemed proud at first, introducing me to a few of her colleagues. But as the night went on, her tone changed. She started making jokes about me, little ones at first. "He doesn't really understand what we do here," she laughed, when someone asked about my job. People chuckled politely. I tried to smile, pretending it didn't sting. But it didn't stop there. When her boss approached, she gestured toward me with a glass of champagne and said, "This is my husband, the guy who still uses a toolbox instead of a laptop." Everyone laughed. Even her boss. My ears burned, but I kept quiet. The laughter felt sharper than words. She saw my face and brushed it off. "Relax, it's just humor," she whispered, patting my arm before turning away. But to me, it didn't feel funny. It felt like I'd just been turned into her punchline. I stayed another hour, mostly alone, watching her charm her colleagues. When she finally came over and asked if I was ready to go, I simply nodded. The car ride home was silent. She scrolled through her phone while I stared at the passing lights. That night, I slept on the couch, not out of anger, but out of something deeper, disappointment. The next morning, I woke up early and made breakfast. I thought about what to say, how to tell her that what she'd done hurt more than she realized. But before I could even rehearse the words, my phone buzzed. It was one of her coworkers, someone I'd barely spoken to at the party. "Hey," the message read, "I thought you should know something before you see the news." My heart sank. I opened the link they'd sent. There, on the company's official social media page, was a photo from last night's party. My wife mid-laugh, champagne in hand, with the caption, "Our fearless leader joking about how her husband doesn't fit the corporate mold." The post had gone viral overnight, but not in a good way. The comments were brutal. "How out of touch can you be? Mocking someone for honest work? Yikes. Her husband deserves better." My stomach turned. I didn't want this. I didn't want her humiliated. But by the time she came downstairs, pale and shaken, it was already too late. "They posted it," she whispered. I nodded slowly. Her hands trembled as she checked her phone. "Oh my God," she murmured, scrolling through hundreds of angry comments. "My boss called," she said a few minutes later, voice breaking. "They're suspending me for unprofessional conduct. They said I need to make a public apology." I watched her sit down, tears forming in her eyes. The same woman who'd laughed at me 12 hours earlier now staring at the cost of her words. I didn't gloat. I just said quietly, "You didn't have to make me small to feel big." She looked up, her voice barely a whisper. "I'm so sorry. I don't even know why I said those things. I just wanted to fit in." I sighed, sitting across from her. "You already had someone who thought you were enough," I said. "You just didn't believe it." We sat there for a long time, the silence heavier than the night before. She posted her apology later that morning. Not a corporate statement, but something real. "To the person who has stood by me quietly and never asked for recognition, I'm sorry for forgetting that dignity doesn't wear a suit. It builds, repairs, and forgives when it shouldn't have to." She lost her position for a while but gained something else, a lesson in humility and gratitude. Weeks later, she joined me at the repair shop, not to work but to see what I really did. She stayed all afternoon, watching as customers thanked me for helping them. When we closed, she turned to me and said softly, "You were never out of place at that party. I was." And for the first time in a long while, she meant every word.